وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Last night we were explaining two authentic narrations regarding the issue of traveling and combining prayers when you travel. Traveling and combining the two salah when you travel. We also explained some of the issues, some of the ins and the outs that pertain to doing this, when it is permissible and when it isn't permissible. What's best, what's recommended to do with regards to combining your prayers when you travel. That was last night's class. We left off speaking on the issue that's mentioned by An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala regarding praying Salatul Dhuhr at the time of Salatul Asr, and it's enough time to do both, and that you cannot delay the Dhuhr and the Asr until a time in which there's only enough time to make one of the two, or vice versa, the Maghrib and the Isha. We explained that last night. We're not going to explain that again tonight. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, فإن أخرها بلا نية عصى وصارت قضاء وإذا أخرها بالنية استحب أن يصلي الأولى أولا وأن ينوي الجمع وأن لا يفرق بينهما ولا يجب شيء من ذلك. هذا مختصر أحكام الجمع وباقي فروعه معروفة في كتب الفقه. He then says, as far as if a person delays the salah like this and then doesn't have the intention of combining them, then obviously he's done an act of disobedience. He's done an act of disobedience. And we said that many people, they do this when they travel. They don't make Salatul Dhuhr on time. Salatul Dhuhr is out. And then they say, oh, we're traveling. That's wrong. That's a mistake. Salatul Maghrib is out. We didn't stop. Trying to pick up miles, trying to get there on time, there's traffic, whatever. And say, oh, well, we're traveling anyway, so we'll just make it with Isha. That's wrong. You must make it your niyyah, your intention. I am not going to stop for Salatul Maghrib because I'm going to make it later on with Isha. I'm not going to stop for Salatul Dhuhr because I'm going to make it later with Asr. And not just let it skip by, pass by, and be negligent and nonchalant and say, oh, well, I'm traveling. Can't do that. It has to be intended from the get-go. The prayer has to be done on time. Everybody understand this? The prayer has to be done on time. As far as you forgot about the prayer, that's a different story. Someone who forgets or oversleeps, or a person's in a situation in which he cannot pray. It's a necessity. Everyone understand this? And even with regards to that situation, the Muslim has to manage his or her time. And you must prioritize. And you must strategize. You know that it's going to be traffic here. You know that you're going to get held up in the airport. You know that there's no bathroom here. So you have to plan it out. You have to plan it out. Strategy in the Muslim is like brown on rice. Tactics and the life of the Muslim is like what? They go hand in hand with the Muslim. Our way of life is based off of strategy and tactfulness. How we believe, what we do. Ramadan, Hajj, kullu shay is based off of rules, formulas, premeditation, planning things out, and also flexibility. Everyone understand this? These are the key principles of strategy. It's to give it forethought and to allow flexibility. Everyone understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? No. You cannot recklessly travel and then say, well, there's nowhere for me to pray. You cannot just travel without the proper intention and say, I'm stuck in traffic now, so oh well, it doesn't matter. Lie. You knew that there will be traffic at this time. You knew that you'd only have 30 minutes to spend in the store, but you spent 45 minutes. You understand this? You have to strategize these things. Everybody clear on this or not? When you travel by plane, do a little bit of research, a little bit of homework. How many hours from here to Germany? How many hours does the flight take? What prayer is going to come in? I'm on the plane, Fajr, but I'm in a different time zone than New York City. How many hours until 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. For example, my flight is at 9 p.m. from JFK. Salat al-Fajr, for example, just hypothetical example, it comes in here 4:50, 4:55, 5 a.m. Keep it simple. So how many hours from 9 to 5? 8 hours? 8 hours? We agree on this? So therefore, at 5 a.m. in New York City, where am I going to be traveling to? Munich, Germany. Are we clear on this? How many hours from JFK to Munich? Quickly.
9, 7, 8 hours.
8-hour trip. Okay? So in 8 hours, you're going to be where? Hypothetically. In Germany, but the time zone. So where are you going to be in 4 hours or 6 hours? Everyone understand this? The middle of the Atlantic, Spain, Portugal, etc. You have to plan that out. And you have to know the time zone of that country or that location. Your clock still is on New York time, Eastern time. That's not the time going to Munich. That's not the time over the Atlantic. So you have to do a bit of homework and strategize when Fajr is going to be on this airplane. Everybody clear on this? And you can't say, I'll make Fajr when I get there and the sun is up. Everybody understand this? You have to plan it and plot it out. Everybody clear on this? I don't have to make Dhuhr on the plane because I'll land, inshallah, at 5:30. That's more than enough time to clear customs, etc. I can make Dhuhr and Asr. So I don't have to pray sitting down and not face the Qibla. You have to have some basic fiqh of Islam and of traveling and geography and time zones and things like this. Everyone understand this? Time, you're going to gain time, you're going to lose time. Nah? So it's not 8-hour conversion 100%. Fajr is going to be in before that. Everyone understand this? So you have to do a bit of homework now. Everybody clear on this or not? It takes a little bit of fiqh to do it properly. Khairan inshallah. He then says, so if a person does that without the intention, then the prayer that he's making is not combination. It's not jama'. Rather, it's qada. You're just making it up now because you missed it. The dhuhr is missed. And many brothers, they do this when they travel. I've experienced this many times. Brothers and sisters, they say, we're just traveling, we'll make it. No. The intention has to be there. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, and when he makes them up, it's recommended to make up the first prayer that he missed. طيب. He says, أن يصلي الأولى أولا. And then have the intention, he says, ينوي الجمع, and to make them back to back. طيب. Moving forward. He says this is the summary of the most important rulings pertaining to this topic. A summary. A summary. The what? The summary. He says the rest of the details are well known and have been explained and mentioned in the books of fiqh. In the books of fiqh. A new issue, he says, ويجوز الجمع بالمطر في وقت الأولى ولا يجوز في وقت الثاني على الأصح لعدم الوثوق باستمراره إلى الثانية. The next issue, the new thing tonight, is permissible to combine prayers because of rain, he says. It's permissible to combine prayers because of rain. But there's a condition or conditions. And the first condition is that the combination is taqdeem and not ta'khir. You make dhuhr and asr at the time of dhuhr and not miss the dhuhr to the time of asr. Maghrib and Isha is made during the time of Maghrib and not the opposite. Of course, with regards to rain. We're not talking about traveling anymore. We're done talking about traveling. Now you're talking about rain. And obviously, applying, or that which applies to this is snow. Snow. Hail. A tornado. Tsunami. Hurricane. Tropical storm. We've explained this before. We've explained this before. We said that a person is going to write a book. If he doesn't write it for a specific country other than his, then he's going to base it off of his climate and his culture. He named the book Ahkam al-Shita, rulings of winter. And in some countries, some Arabian or Arabic countries, Middle Eastern countries, North African countries, the word Shita doesn't mean winter, but they actually mean rain. They mean what? Rain. But in many countries, the rainy season is in the winter. It's in the winter. That's when it rains. That's not the case of America, with regards to America or South America or Central America. The rainy season may be when? In the summer or the spring. Or you may live in a place in which there's great amount of snow, or it's extreme wind, or dust. There is no one specific thing. The Sharia is always formless to apply to any place or situation. Allah does not make us worship Him just based off of rain. No, that's only pertaining to the Middle East, in which the most inclement weather in most cases is going to be rain. And if not, not even hail. Hail is rare. Sandstorm. But in most cases, it's going to be what? It's going to be rain in most cases. In America, can you say that? No. You can have all four. You can have rain, hail, thunderstorms, lightning, snow, ice, and also tropical. All of them mixed together. Everybody clear on this or not? Tayyib. So therefore, he says it's permissible to combine these prayers because of rain and any other difficult or challenging weather condition, such as snow, such as hail, etc. But with the condition is that it is jam'u taqdeem and not jam'u ta'khir. You make the two prayers in the time of the first and not of the last. Everyone understand this? And the same rule applies to Salat al-Fajr and Salat al-Isha. You can't do that. Salat al-Asr and Salat al-Maghrib, you can't do that. But it has to be prayers that are in one basic what? Half of the day or the night, as we explained last night. He says, and the reason why you can't do this, he says, alal asah, according to the strongest view, proving that there are some ulama who say that you can do that. That you can do that. But that's not the view that Nawawi says is the strongest view. And the reason why you can't do that is because a person doesn't know if the weather will continue to be inclement. He doesn't know that. We know for sure it's pouring down cats and dogs, as they say, or as we say. It's raining what? Cats and dogs. We know that for sure. So we're at the masjid, let's make dhuhr and what? Asr, so the people don't have to come back out to the masjid to pray again in the hardship. But the rain could stop. 30 minutes, an hour, a rainbow comes out, the sky becomes yellow in the summertime, a very humid day, and then you have a thunderstorm, right? And then it's clear and calm, no more rain. Everyone understand this or not? That's not the same as making it dhuhr and asr and dhuhr time, then delaying it to what? Asr time. A big possibility is that the rain or the snow could stop. That's why he says you can't do that. Moving forward. وشرط وجوده عند الإحرام بالأولى والفراغ منها وافتتاح الثانية ويجوز ذلك لمن يمشي إلى الجماعة في غيركم بحيث يلحقه بلل المطر والأصح أنه لا يجوز لغيره. هذا مذهبنا في الجمع بالمطر وقال به جمهور العلماء في الظهر والعصر وفي المغرب والعشاء وخصه مالك رحمه الله تعالى بالمغرب والعشاء. وأما المريض فالمشهور من مذهب الشافعي والأكثرين أنه لا يجوز له وجوزه أحمد وجماعة من أصحاب الشافعي وهو قوي في الدليل كما سننبه عليه في شرح حديث ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما إن شاء الله تعالى. وقال أبو حنيفة لا يجوز الجمع بين الصلاتين بسبب السفر ولا المطر ولا المرض ولا غيرها إلا بين الظهر والعصر بعرفات بسبب النسك وبين المغرب والعشاء بمزدلفة بسبب النسك أيضا. والأحاديث الصحيحة في الصحيحين وسنن أبي داود وغيره حجة عليه. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala then says, another condition for this to be done is that it has to be raining or snowing, has to be difficult weather at the time of the first takbir. As far as dhuhr comes in and it's raining and then it stops. He says no. When you say Allahu Akbar, it has to be what? Raining. And this is theoretical and oftentimes not that practical. You walk into the masjid, it's pouring down raining. It's time to pray right now. The iqamah is right now. What are the chances that the rain is just going to what? Just like that. Very slim. Let alone the fact that we have modern technology, meteorology, in which they say 90% chance of rain. In which a person can clearly see and feel that it's going to be raining what? For some time. So you don't say, go to the door, let me know, is it raining? Allahu Akbar. Nah. That's not practical. That's not what? That's not practical. And even if someone did do it, tayyib, la bas. But it's not necessarily something that's a must. Al-Muhim, it's time to pray, the Jama'ah here, and it is raining. As far as if the rain is off and on, or it isn't that heavy, then you check before you pray. But checking before you pray doesn't mean it has to be right at the time of the what? Of the ihram. Everybody understand the difference? Everybody understand the difference? There's a huge difference between the two. The time of the ihram is split second. Time for the iqamah to be made, it's raining, it's heavy, it's coming down in general. There's a huge difference between the two situations. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he also says, when a person makes ihram for the first prayer, the dhuhr. Now we're not talking about shortening, we're just talking about what? Combining. Everybody clear on this or not? He then says, and a person can only do this if it's still raining or still difficult weather at the time of starting the second prayer as well. Time of starting the what? Second prayer as well. And that's not necessarily a condition, especially if you're in the masjid and no one is at the masjid waiting. When we started the dhuhr, it was snowing. After we make the tasneem for dhuhr, we're going to do what? Make the iqamah for asr. And not run to the door and double check before we start the asr. Everybody clear this or not? Let alone the fact that if it's raining that bad or snowing like that, it's still going to be a relative difficulty upon the people. The streets are still going to be wet. It's still going to be flooding, flash flood alerts on your phone. If it was snowing, it's still going to be what? Snow on the ground. So the condition is not the heavens pouring down. The condition is the wujud, the mashaqqa, is that there's a difficulty. And if it rained and snowed for a good amount of time to make you combine the prayers, then the aftermath is also going to be what? Difficult as well. And this is an example of the impracticability or practicality of many of these madhabs and these different points. They're not made for real life. When you actually sit down and practice it, it's robotic and mechanical. It's not going to be fluid like living life. Who's going to do this? Everyone understand this? With regards to all different types of issues. Water, if it's this amount, pour it out, look at it, shake it, so on and so forth. It's not practical. It's not practical. Everyone understand this? Moving forward, An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, and it's also, he says, those who walk to the jama'ah as well, those who walk to the jama'ah as well, and whereas a person will be wet, and he says, لا يجوز لغيره, and it's unlawful for others, he says, for others, meaning someone who's not going to the masjid. There's no reason for him to do what? Combine the dhuhr and asr, because he's in the comfort of his home. There's no difficulty in walking to the masjid. Everyone understand this? Tayyib. He says this is our madhab with regards to combining the prayers when it is raining. And this is also the view of most of the ulama. وَبِهِ قَالَ جُمْهُورِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Most of the scholars, they held this view as well. Concerning dhuhr and asr, and maghrib and isha. As far as Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala, then he said it's only for maghrib and isha. In other words, nighttime. It's cold outside, it's dark outside. Dhuhr and asr, no. Everyone understand this? So this is an example of how Imam Malik rahimahullah, whether he knew about these hadiths or not, he's using his what? His intellect. He's using his rationale. Only at nighttime, because it's not a difficulty in the what? Daytime. But someone may say that's not necessarily true. It can be just as difficult in the daytime than it could be at nighttime. Everybody clear on this or not? Everyone understand this? It's also another example of how Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala and the Hanafi scholars were not the only scholars to have used their minds and not taken the hadith. And we've said this many times, and I'm not Hanafi, but the truth is the truth. And we don't condone injustice against anybody. And people who just bash Hanafis and say and think that they're the only ones who do this. This is Imam what? Dar al-Hijrah. The Imam of Dar al-Hijrah. The hadith clearly prove Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. Let alone the ruling is the same. It's a hardship in the daytime, just like it's a hardship what? At nighttime. But Malik rahimahullah, for one reason or another, he said no, it's only night. Everybody clear on this? So it's not just beat up Abu Hanifa. and the Hanafis. There are other scholars who did the same as well. They thought about it and they tried to reach something which was reasonable. Are you clear on this or not? He says, rahimahullah, that was Imam Malik's view and not the view of most of the ulama. As far as now, a new issue, not talking about rain anymore. Someone who's ill and sick, are they allowed to combine prayers? Someone who's sick and someone who's ill in the hospital or at home, can you combine your prayers if you're sick? He says that which is well known from a Shafi'i school of law or school of thought, and most, he says, most of them, is that a sick person is not allowed to combine his or her prayers. A sick Muslim, an ill Muslim, is not allowed to combine their prayers. But that wasn't the view of Imam Ahmad. He says, وَجَوَّزَهُ Ahmad. Imam Ahmad held the view that it what? That it was permissible. وَجَمَاعَةٌ مِنْ أَصْحَابِ الشَّافِعِي. And a group of Shafi'i scholars, not Imam al-Shafi'i. Nor is that the Shafi'i law. But a what? A group, like the United States. This is the law and the Constitution, right? But we have a group of judges or lawyers who hold what? I don't think that's right. But that's not the actual what? The law of the state or of the country. Are you understand this? So he says, Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, and some of the Shafi'i ulama, they say that it's permissible for an ill person to combine the salah. And no, he says, وَهُوَ قَوِيٌّ. He says, and that's strong. That's a strong view, as it's based off of the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, which will soon be mentioned, inshallah. Which will soon be what? Mentioned. طيب. Next point. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he held the view that a person cannot combine prayers because of traveling, nor rain, nor sickness, nor anything else, except Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha at the time of Hajj, Muzdalifah. He says that's the only time which a person is what? Allowed to do that. So if you follow Abu Hanifa, you work with a Hanafi, or your family member, or someone says, I'm a Hanafi, tell them what? No combined salahs for you, buddy. Everyone understand this? Know what? That's not what your Imam said. Everyone understand this or not? He said that you can't do that. And this goes to show you how interesting things can become, and how simple and basic a ruling is, and how difficult and complex it becomes. The simplicity of it. Make two salahs together because you can't stand back up, because you may fall asleep, because you're on medicine, because you have irregular bleeding with regards to a woman's menstruation, because you're traveling, because it's raining and snowing. That's closer to the rahmah of the Sharia. Everyone understand this? And Allah Azza wa Jalla doesn't want to make any hardship upon us, as is stated in the Quran al-Kareem. Khairan, inshaAllah. How many people are going to make Hajj? How many times do you have to make Hajj? So something that has all these hadiths to support it, it's only permissible to combine the prayers once in your lifetime when you make Hajj. That doesn't make what? At all. Everyone understand this? That's not upon the qawaid of the Sharia. So moving forward. He says, in the authentic ahadith, and Bukhari and Muslim, Sunnah Abi Dawood and others, hujjatun alayhi. He says they're proof against him. No disrespect, but they're what? The dalil is clear. Khairan, inshallah. Then he moves forward, talking about the hadith of Ibn Umar. إذا جد به السير جمع بين المغرب والعشاء بعد أن يغيب الشفق صريح في الجمع في وقت إحدى الصلاتين وفيه إبطال تأويل الحنفية في قولهم أن المراد بالجمع تأخير الأولى إلى آخر وقتها وتقديم الثاني إلى أول وقتها. ومثله في حديث أنس إذا ارتحل قبل أن تزيغ الشمس أخر الظهر إلى وقت العصر ثم نزل فجمع بينهما وهو صريح في الجمع في وقت الثانية. والرواية الأخرى أوضح ضلاله وهي قوله أن إذا أراد أن يجمع بين الصلاتين في السفر أخر الظهر حتى يدخل أول وقت العصر ثم يجمع بينهما. وفي الرواية الأخرى ويؤخر المغرب حتى يجمع بينهما وبين العشاء حين يغيب الشفق. وإنما اقتصر ابن عمر على ذكر الجمع بين المغرب والعشاء لأنه ذكره جوابا لقضية جرت له فإنه استصعب إلى آخره. طيب. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala then says, when the narration states إِذَا أَعْجَلَهُ السَّيْرُ, when he was moving about. أَعْجَلَهُ, he was moving hastily, traveling. It clearly proves that he combined the prayers, and that one prayer was made in the time of another. That one prayer was actually, physically, literally made in the time of a what? Of another. He says, and this narration refutes the interpretation of some Hanafi scholars who say that he didn't actually combine the prayers. Instead, he delayed Dhuhr until the last possible time, and he made Asr in the earliest possible time. He says that interpretation is what? False. Because the hadith clearly says Jama'ah. He did what? Combined. Bayna. Everyone understand this? Jama'ah, Bayna. And this goes to show you is that having the hadiths and knowing all of the versions, the riwayat and the alfaz, makes your fiqh strong and powerful, formidable. Because it doesn't leave any room for this or for that. Everyone understand this? Just like a news report, right? If you only take one testimony, one eyewitness, one view of the camera, your information could be what? Lacking, could be flawed. But if you gathered everyone who saw it, everyone who heard it, you got all of the cameras, all of the cell phones, you sat down, you analyzed, you meticulously looked through all of them, then you're going to come out with a more thorough determination. This is the criminal. This is the person who did it and not that one. And this is how the person was killed, etc. Everyone understand this? And this is the importance of fiqh sunnah. Of taking the ahadith, gathering all of them and comparing the fiqh views and taking the strongest opinion. That's the most thorough way. That's the what? That's the most thorough way. Khairan inshallah. Tayyib, here we're going to stop tonight. Leave some more time for the questions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Hopefully next week we'll continue this discussion. Wallahu ta'ala alam.